is Senator Trent. So when he makes his way down there, we'll get started. And Senator, when you get ready to go, just forge ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. Curtis Trent representing Senate District 20. Senate Bill 779 is the Virtual Currency Kiosk Consumer Protection Act. This would be some baseline regulations of virtual currency kiosks. These kiosks make the buying and selling of major cryptocurrencies accessible and secure for individuals who wish to purchase cryptocurrencies with cash. Roughly 40% of Americans own cryptocurrency at this point. It's become something that's very frequently bought and sold. And so we want to have some baseline protections to make sure that when consumers are interacting with these kind of devices that they are safe to do so. We don't currently have any license or regulatory environment for such machines or machine operators. This bill would designate the Division of Finance as the regulator. And so the kind of the basic components here requires licensure by the state of these virtual kiosks, requires a clear visible warnings and fee disclosures, requires blockchain analytics to fight fraud and automatically block customer transactions to high-risk digital wallets, and requires live customer service. I think when, like the public, when it interacts with any kind of financial service, I think it believes that those have been regulated and that there are protections that backdrop those services. And so when that isn't the case, consumers who have their guard down may be particularly vulnerable to being exploited or to have fraud perpetrated upon them. And so I think this is a very, again, a baseline level of regulation that lets these cryptocurrencies continue to be traded freely to fulfill their role in the market, but also prevent fraud from nefarious actors. Be happy to answer any questions from the committee.
Questions for the bill sponsor? Seeing none. Anyone here wishing to testify in favor of Senate Bill 779, please come forward. Just a reminder to fill out a witness form and leave it on the desk, and tell us who you are, and you can proceed when you're ready.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Larry Lipka, and I am the General Counsel of CoinFlip. We are one of the largest cryptocurrency or virtual currency kiosk operators in the world. We are in 10 countries. We have about 6,000 kiosks across the globe. The company was founded in 2010, and like Senator Trent said, we make buying and selling crypto with cash easy and convenient for customers, and we want to make sure that customers in Missouri are also safe when they're making these purchases. So that's why I'm here today pushing for this bill to get passed, because like the senator said next to me, this is a baseline of consumer protection for customers in this state. And sort of what's strange right now is that the state does not regulate us. We applied for a money transmitter license, and we were told that this is not regulated activity. So that we think is wrong, and this bill would change that, because the money transmitter licensing is the way for the state to make sure that only the good actors are here in Missouri. So that would include things like looking at the compliance policies and procedures, looking at the executives of the company, the people who own the company, to make sure that they're doing what's right by consumers. I won't go into a lot of detail, and I'm happy to answer questions, but just to kind of put a little color on some of the things that this bill does. So first, like I said, it would require licensure with the state. We have about 30 money transmitter licenses now, so this seems to be the way that other states are proceeding. About 5 years ago, the states were not regulating us as a money transmitter, but now, because some of the headlines with cryptocurrency and some of the scams that are happening, I think some of the states are changing, and I would urge Missouri to do the same. In addition, this bill requires robust compliance policies and procedures, and also having a team in place that knows what they're doing. So having a chief compliance officer that doesn't own the company, because that is a conflict of interest between consumer protection and profit. And it's requiring things like an enhanced due diligence policy. So that means that you have to look at the more vulnerable customers more closely before they can transact. And also having an anti-fraud policy and a consumer protection officer to make sure that those customers who are transacting are, that there's policies and procedures to make sure that they're kept safe. Another thing that's very important is requiring highly visible scam warnings so that people know what they're doing and they're educated before they make that transaction. And those, at our kiosks are right on the screen, so a customer has to agree to those warnings before every single transaction. And that's combined with live customer service, and that's something that this bill would also require, is having customer service available for consumers during business hours. We found that that is a good way to stop consumers who may not know what they're doing from sending crypto to a bad actor, because they see the warnings on the screen that say, if you've been sent here by somebody else, stop, please call our customer service. And the customers actually do that, and then our customer service agents will educate them and say, hey, you can't pay your bills or the IRS or bail or anything like that with these kiosks. You're supposed to send crypto only to yourself. And by educating them, then we make sure that they're not going to another financial services product to make the same mistake, like buying gift cards or going to another kiosk operator. So education is very important. And lastly, this requires blockchain analytics. So what blockchain analytics is, it's software solutions that you pay for. It's used by the federal government, FBI, CIA, state governments, law enforcement. And what you can do is you have your customer scan their digital wallet address at the kiosk before they put any money into the machine. And if that digital wallet address is flagged by these companies as high risk, then you block that transaction and block that customer and have them call you to figure out what they're doing. And the high risk wallets are those that have been associated with criminal activity in the past, whether that's scams or it could be child porn or dark web activity. And how the companies get this information is all of the crypto companies give them data. So if we have a customer that's been scammed, we block that wallet at our company, and then we send that wallet address to the blockchain analytics company so that nobody else will be scammed using that same wallet. So, we all share the same goal of protecting consumers. That's why I'm here in the unusual position of advocating for regulation for my industry, because, the things that are in this bill is stuff that we already do and any good operator should already be doing in the state. But I know from having been going across the country testifying at various hearings that not every operator is up to the same level that we are, and that means that there's an opportunity for people to be victimized, and we don't want that to happen. So thank you for your time, and happy to answer any questions.
Questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. We're going to take a pause. We're going to take the roll, and we're going to go into executive session real quick before we finish this hearing. Okay, Barb, please call the roll.
Senators Crawford,
Here.
Gregory, Brown, Huff, McCreary, Mosley, Trent.
We do have a quorum. I move that we go into executive session. Do I have a second? I have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no, and the ayes have it. The first bill that we're going to vote on is House Bill 974. And I move that we take up House Bill 974. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no, and the ayes have it. This is Representative Murphy's bill that's peer-to-peer. We are, at this point in time, not making any changes. It's just the peer-to-peer piece. We may need to make a couple of tweaks on the floor to just, again, the peer-to-peer, but I'm not sure about that yet, so we're going to vote it out just like it is. And so I move that we vote House Bill 974 out of committee. Do pass. Do I have a second? I have a second. Is there any discussion? She'll still be able to vote when she, is that her?
Yes, it is.
All right. Senator, to bring you up to speed, we are all right, we're in executive session. We have brought up House Bill 974, which is the peer-to-peer bill. And so we've already moved to do pass, and we're at the point where we have it seconded, and we're asking if there's any discussion on House Bill 974. Seeing none, Barb, would you please call the roll?
Senators Crawford.
Aye.
Gregory. Brown. Huff. McCreary. Mosley. Trent.
By your vote of 6-0, you have do passed House Bill 974, and we're now going to move to House Bill 754. I move that we take up House Bill 754. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. This is the bill that we heard last week. It is Representative Oehlerking's bill dealing with financial institutions. We do have a committee substitute ending in .03C, and I move that we adopt that substitute. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any discussion on the substitute? And let me kind of go over what we're doing here. The current bill had the bank. Did I miss something? The current bill, the underlying bill had the trusted contacts piece. It had the pooled collateral piece, the payment transaction fee piece, and also it had some modernization to banking issues. That was very similar to the bill that I had in the committee also. The additions are three things. We're adding the certified funds piece that has voted out of this committee 6-0 and 1 being present. Also, it has two fixes to the Money Modernization Act. We have voted on both of those. The full Senate has. The commercial financing disclosure law passed out 31-2 on the Senate floor, and the payroll processors passed out 28-1. So nothing new. We've all voted on that at least once, if not twice. Those are the things that we're adding to the bill. And let me get back over here. Any other discussion on the bill? Seeing none, I move that we adopt the substitute. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no, and the ayes have it. I now move that we vote House Bill 754 with Senate Committee substitute out of committee do pass. Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Barb, please call the roll.
Senators Crawford.
Aye.
Gregory. Brown. Huff. McCreary. Mosley. Trent. 6.
By your vote of 6-0, you have do passed House Bill 754. I make a motion that we go out of executive session. Do I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor say aye. We're now out of executive session, and we will continue with the hearing on Senator Trent's Senate Bill 779. Anyone else here wishing to testify in favor of that bill? Seeing none, anyone here wishing to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 779? Seeing none, anyone for informational purposes only on Senate Bill 779? Seeing none, this will Senator, do you have any final comments?
I just appreciate the committee's time and opportunity for hearing.
Thank you, Senator. This will conclude the hearing on Senate Bill 779. Next up, we will hear Senator Mosley's Senate Bill 824. Senator, make your way down, and you can proceed when you get ready.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. Thank you for allowing me to have this hearing today. I am State Senator Angela Mosley, representing the 13th Senatorial District. This bill is SB 824, and what this act will do is require health benefits plans to provide coverage for genetic testing and genetic counseling as defined in this act of individuals who are at increased risk of potential harmful mutations to their genes due to a personal or family history of cancer. The Act prohibits insurers from using these tests and counseling in underwriting decisions such as calculating premiums or determining coverage, and prohibits insurers from imposing cost sharing with regard to the required coverage. So,
Any questions for the bill sponsor?
do y'all got questions for the bill sponsor?
Seeing none, thank you, Senator. Anyone here wishing to testify in favor of Senate Bill 824? Seeing none, anyone here wishing to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 824? Seeing none, anyone here who wishes to testify for informational purposes only for Senate Bill 824?
Madam Chair, Shannon Cooper today representing America's Health Insurance Plans, and a little befuddled here on the issue, but we'll go on record for informational purposes. I can't find any of my members that have a lot of experience with this genetic testing or counseling, and normally we'd oppose any type of insurance mandate, but I was hopeful some folks would get up and testify in favor of it, where maybe I could get a little better grip on it. So I'm just going to testify for information and say that normally I would oppose this, but I'd like to have the opportunity for my clients to look at it a little closer and see if there's an actual benefit in these testings, and if they could provide future savings and health outcomes for people. Obviously, we would be interested in looking at that. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you or your committee might have.
Questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Anyone else wishing to testify for informational purposes only?
Information.
Yes, Senator, thank you. Chairwoman, again, Hampton Williams for the Missouri Insurance Coalition, in a similar position. Look forward to working with Senator Mosley on the bill. The one thing I'll note is that it appears that the term genetic counseling includes services beyond insureds as well, not only individuals but also organizations. I'm unaware of how developed this marketplace is for companies or organizations offering this type of services. And it also has a kind of a unique definition for the word cost sharing. Sometimes we'll see that to address co-insurance or some other type of cost. This one actually also mentions deductibles. And so there are just some concerns that we would like some more information. Look forward to working with the senator to figure out what those are. Thank you.
Questions for this witness? Senator McCreary.
Okay, so I'm standing up for my colleague a little bit. She presented a bill. She's tried to get this on to other pieces of legislation. We're having a hearing today. No one out there is speaking up. So then it puts us in a pickle where she's trying to move this legislation, but we have no information to go on. So I really just wish that people would take these hearings more seriously, because this is going to pass, and then there's going to be behind the scenes opposition to what my colleague's trying to do. So my hope is that people take these hearings more seriously and take my colleagues more seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Further questions? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Anyone else wishing to testify for informational purposes only? Seeing none, Senator Mosley, do you have any final comments?
Final comment is this bill has been filed since pre-filing, and if anyone had any problem with the bill, they could have come to me a long time ago. But this bill is to prevent discrimination against my constituents as well as yours who suffer or may suffer from cancer. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. This will conclude the hearing on Senate Bill 824. I think I saw Senator Moon there. Okay, we're gonna do that bill next. So next up is Senate Bill 338. Senator Moon, you may proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Mike Moon. I represent the Missouri 29th Senatorial District, and I appreciate y'all listening to my bill. I think we've heard this in some form or fashion for the last 3 years. Essentially, it would prohibit the state from entering into any contracts with companies that practice the ESG in their business model, and also it would require that the treasurer complete and compile a list of companies that are in boycotts against other companies. And if a company is in contract with the state, they would need to assure the treasurer that they would not boycott other companies as well. That's essentially it.
Questions for the bill sponsor? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Anyone here wishing to testify in favor of Senate Bill 338? Seeing none, anyone here wishing to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 338? Seeing none, anyone here for informational purposes only for Senate Bill 338? Seeing none. Senator, any final comments? Thank you for your for presenting. This will conclude the hearing on Senate Bill 338. And last but not least, Representative Stinnett. We will be hearing her House Bill 618, and we have about 30 minutes, so I would just caution everybody we'll go into session at 1, so it may be a little bit of an abbreviated hearing, but we have heard a similar bill, if not the same, before. So, Representative, when you're ready, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. This bill has had a few changes since the one that you saw, and I believe, the thing that I want to highlight and kind of go through just quickly is that one thing I'm really proud of is that we had meetings with all of the stakeholders and really tried to consider the thoughts of each side and find a way to come to a place where we could find agreement. I'm not going to say that everyone is completely on board by any means, but there were quite a few substantial changes made that I think do take that into account. So I'll highlight a few of those very quickly. On the first page, we've changed the evaluation period to 12 months instead of just 6 months. We also have, you see a definition there of value-based agreement, and that plays into a section where the hospitals have an option to participate in this gold carding if they have value-based agreement or they have a certain quality standard of their hospital or a little bit higher threshold. We did exempt out our critical access hospitals. We want them to have as much opportunity as possible to participate in this gold carding. There are several other changes. I think that some exemptions for cosmetic procedures, investigative procedures, and there is an exemption, not completely, for pharmacy and imaging over a certain threshold amount. But really, I mean, you've heard the bill before. I think you know the heart of the bill really is to increase access to patients, not delay care for patients, and make sure that that physician and patient relationship is honored by allowing that decision that's been made about the access to care that that patient needs. Doesn't require those prior authorizations when we see that a physician is acting in good faith and has 90% of their authorizations in that evaluation period approved. So happy to take any questions.
Questions for the bill sponsor? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. You can either stay there or go back, whichever you prefer. Anyone here wishing to testify in favor of House Bill 618, please come forward, and just a reminder to fill out a witness form and leave it on the desk, please, and you can proceed when you're ready.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm David Barb, a board-certified family physician. I've been in practice in Wright County, Missouri for over 40 years. I was past president of Missouri State Medical Association and also past president of the AMA, and I'll invoke that in just a minute. I promise to be brief. This is an issue that has been out there for a long time. Back when I was president of the AMA, we had already done surveys showing that over 90% of physicians thought that the prior authorization process produced substantial harm to patients and delays in care that caused patients to abandon care during the delay of the prior authorization process. 20% of physicians thought that 20% of physicians thought that the prior authorization process often led to actual harm, hospitalization, physical impairment or damage, and 7% even thought that it directly contributed to the death of a patient. So this is a really big deal with respect to patients getting care. I am sorry to say that in the 10 years almost since I was president and the survey was first done, there's been almost no progress, in spite of a consensus statement between the AMA, American Hospital Association, America Health Insurance Plans and the Blue Cross Blue Shield Association, as well as a couple of others, that had 5 points, this is in 2018, for improving prior authorization. Point number 1 was revise the process, and I'm reading directly from their consensus statement. We agree, meaning those organizations, including AHIP and Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association, encourage the use of programs that selectively implement prior authorization requirement based on stratification of healthcare providers' performance and adherence to evidence-based medicine. That's the gold card concept that has been talked about in this bill, along with many other things. 4 other items in that consensus statement, much of which is in Representative Stinnett's bill. So I really hope that you would give this serious consideration. Passage of this bill will substantially improve patient care, will substantially reduce the hassle of physicians and their offices, will reduce the cost, not increase the cost of health care. Thank you.
Questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you for being here today. I'm going to hold up one second. You may go ahead and go back. Give me an idea. Who's here to testify in favor of the bill? Raise your hand. I want to get an idea. Okay, what about against? Okay, let's go back and forth. And so let's take somebody in opposition at this point in time, because we're going to probably run out of time, and I want to try to give both sides an equal amount of time as possible. So.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Again, Hampton Williams from the Missouri Insurance Coalition. Again, the committee's heard the presentation of the prior authorization bill earlier. I want to focus on concerns we have with what's come over from the House. Again, there have been substantive and I think meaningful conversations. However, there are still objections that the insurance industry has with this proposal. This proposal allows for a provider to qualify for a gold card, meeting one threshold for one service, and then apply that to any service that provider could offer. Missouri's program would be the only gold card exemption program in the nation that would allow that. The concerns are that you would have a circumstance where we're losing the ability to actually insurers to evaluate the course of care and make sure that we're still providing cost-effective care for our insureds. The second concern that we have with what's been sent over from the House includes the lines, page 2, 31, the limitations that the representative identified for pharmacy services. It says pharmacy services shall not be included not to exceed the amount of $100,000. We don't know if that means per day. We don't know if that means per person, per year, per term. It's not defined. It is a concession, though, that the prior authorization program in and of itself, without proper limitations, can expose not only consumers to exorbitant costs. And yes, those will be carried for a short term by the insureds, but ultimately those costs that insurers care do get passed through rates. Prior authorization, particularly for pharmaceutical, as well as some of these other exemptions, imaging, it's the best tool that insurers have to try to deliver cost-effective care. There's a story out of West Virginia. West Virginia in 2019 came out with its own prior authorization program for services. In 2023, it expanded those exemptions to include pharmaceuticals. Last November, the director of their public employee program went out and testified that since they've made that expansion, they've seen a dramatic increase of prescriptions for GLP-1 medications, which are like Ozempic, those type of medications. And because of the gold carding program for pharmaceuticals, they have no way to evaluate whether or not those individuals actually have diabetes, if they're entitled to it. And now 20% of their program costs are wrapped up on these GLP-1 programs. For the state of West Virginia, that meant a $50 million bill that they were not anticipating, which is substantial. So much so that there's a state senator who has filed a bill in West Virginia to, again, exclude pharmaceuticals from their exemption program. There are multiple states that have exemption programs, approximately 7 currently, many of which do not include pharmaceuticals at all, none of which include this gold carding for all services. The position that we've advocated throughout the course of this legislation has been to set higher thresholds. Right now it's a 90%, that's what's been proposed. We'd like to see that at a higher number, 95% we think is appropriate. And again, that still means that the carrier could be wrong for the other 5%, and that's kind of where we're at. If you look at other industries, retail is one of them. They're what they call shrinkage rate. This is the amount they built into prices to cover up for lost products. That's at 1.5%. We're here talking about putting in 10% for our insureds. So there are substantial costs to this that will be passed on to payers. Second issue I want to raise, I guess, on that $100,000 cap, page 3, section 5, that also has a CPI enhancement. So $100,000 isn't it. It could go up higher. It'll follow CPI. Page 4, section 12, has a provision which talks about dovetailing programs that if you, at the end of a period, if you're changing insureds, that you'd be provided some prior authorization for another insurer. That language has not been in a bill to my knowledge prior to this. The only other state that I've found that even has a program or a term like that's the state of Vermont. We've not really had a hearing on that. I've discussed the implementation of that with many of our members, and we have serious concerns on how practically we can try to accomplish that type of program. Again, we have been working with Representative Stinnett, Senator Brown over on the Senate bill. Look forward to continue to engage. We do think that there is a way to handle services, and we do think that there is a package that we could put together which will largely address many of these concerns. But the concerns that we've raised specifically on the variability of the costs for pharmaceuticals, West Virginia is dealing with that right now. They're already trying to backtrack. And we need to make sure that we're not that we're actually basing our judgment off the information that we're receiving.
Thank you. Questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you for testimony. Next up in favor.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Rob Monses on behalf of the Missouri Hospital Association. Very much appreciate Representative Stinnett's work on this. We worked extensively with her, as she said, on the House side, and we are participating in all those stakeholder meetings. There were at least 12 to 13 major provisions that were modified during those House deliberations. Some of the concessions that we made are very substantive to our members, but this is a vital issue for patients and for providers that are trying to take care of your constituents and your people. And the notion that this 90% threshold, I mean, the physician, the providers are getting approved at that level. And then the idea is to align the resources between the hospital and the insurer so that instead of the insurance company essentially dictating what your constituents are going to be provided, the physician is in the driver's seat and the providers are in the driver's seat. So, and the other thing that is concerning, the insurance lobbyists that just commented is really focused on the pharmacy benefit. And I will point out that based on the integration in the health insurance system, the health insurance companies own the PBMs. The PBMs are, lobbying on other bills related to pharmacy benefit managers, saying that they're the ones holding down cost, but yet they're testifying on this bill that these costs are running away from them. So which one is true? It just doesn't make sense that attorneys general across the country are getting awards from these PBMs in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and that, you know, they're the ones saving money. So, so we think this is a vital program. We're not saying this is the final version. We are willing to do more work on some of these provisions, but this is a very important step. We appreciate the committee's support of Senate Bill 230 and hope you will move this forward as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for this witness? Seeing none, we'll go back to, actually, we're going to go to in opposition. And probably after this witness, we'll start cutting down on the time. I know we have a lot of people that want to get in. We just have about 20 minutes left, and we have probably 20 people to testify. So proceed, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and thank you, members of the committee. David Willis, registered lobbyist with the Missouri Health Plan Association. We're the association that represents the managed Medicaid companies that manage the population of Medicaid lives that are in Medicaid managed care. It's about 1.1 million Missouri lives. Here, unfortunately, testify against House Bill 618. I'll try not to repeat my testimony. I testified on this bill for a number of years. I'll start by saying we don't dislike gold carding programs. All the plans that I represent have and use gold carding programs in Missouri and in other markets around the country. Our opposition to this bill is the mandated nature of how that gold carding system has to operate. And I've testified in the past that one of our objections to this bill is there's no outcomes-based component built in. I will say Representative Stinnett did add one outcome-based quality metric in the House, which we appreciate. We believe that threshold for lower performing providers should be higher than it is right now. It's set at 91% in the bill. We believe that number should be higher for low quality providers. As insurance carriers, we have effectively two ways to manage cost. One is through case management by increasing the health of the population as a whole. A healthier population is cheaper to provide care for. And the second is prior authorization. That is the tool that we use to help control cost. And in our case, the ratepayer is the taxpayer through the Medicaid system. And we believe any erosion in that is going to raise cost ultimately for the state.
Thank you. Questions for this witness? Seeing none, we'll go back to in favor of.
Good morning, Madam Chairwoman, members of the committee. My name is Rachel Bauer, here on behalf of the Missouri Association of Osteopathic Physicians and Surgeons in favor of this bill. And as you've heard from a lot of the testimony today, the insurance companies are showing us just how good they are at denying and delaying progress on care with what they're doing with this bill. They're effectively prior authing the prior authorization reform bill. So I would appreciate you guys' consideration on moving this language forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for this witness? Seeing none, we'll go to in opposition.
Madam Chair, Shannon Cooper today representing America's Health Insurance Plans as well as Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. Just go on record in opposition, and we'll point out that I feel like we have made progress from where the original House bill and the Senate bill have been filed, but as previously stated, we still have issues, and point out two things, then I'll go set back down. If you have any questions about what a debacle some of these gold card plans have been in other states, look at West Virginia or Texas. And it's not always about the dollar, and I know people behind me want to say it's about the dollar, but we have members who don't prior authorize $1 million prescriptions, but they will prior authorize a $30 prescription because that $30 prescription can be abused, it can be sold on the street, and it can be very addictive. We have $1 million prescriptions that keep you alive. They can't be abused, they can't be sold to somebody else. We recognize that. So when we talk about pharmacy and how we do this, it's not always about the money, but it's about patient safety. I could tell you horror stories about prior authorization requests for 85-year-old non-ambulatory patients in a nursing home, people looking for hip replacements when they haven't walked. Those are the things we look for to make sure that our members are treated properly and have the best health outcomes out there. With that, I'll stop talking and answer any questions you and your committee member might have today.
Questions for the witness? Seeing none,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
thank you for your testimony. In favor of?
Madam Chair, member of the committee, Jacob Scott with the Gastroenterology Society and the Missouri State Association of Orthopedic Surgeons. Just want to go on record in support of the bill. I've heard previous witnesses characterize the prior authorization gold carding programs as a debacle, but what I want to tell you, the real debacle is when patients are denied or delayed care, and then they end up going to the emergency room, and it ends up costing everybody a lot more, including their care that they desperately need as a result of a lack of reform in this space. So we're strongly in support of the bill. We're very thankful to the sponsor, Representative Stinnett, for bringing this bill forward. And we just want to make sure that we're putting patients first rather than profits for the insurance companies. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions for this witness? Seeing none, we'll go back to in opposition. I think that is all for opposition, so we will continue on with in favor of.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Sarah Schlemer here on behalf of Washington University, American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, and then Quest Diagnostics. Want to just reiterate everything that has been said on behalf of the physician groups that have testified today, as well as the hospitals, but also, so with Quest Diagnostics, I want to add just one more piece to this. So Quest Diagnostics is a lab company, and so a lot of times the physician or the healthcare practitioner orders a test. The test comes to the lab, they collect the specimen, it's a time-sensitive specimen, they have to start processing the test, and then they find out that there's a prior authorization required for this test. The lab does not possess the information required to get that prior authorization approved through the insurance company, so they have to go back to the provider, try to figure it out with their offices. They don't want to hold that patient information that is required to get that prior authorization approved, so this is a pretty logistical and clunky piece that's been added into the prior authorization process, and we would just like to see that cleaned up as part of this gold carding issue. So, and thank the representative for bringing this bill forward.
Thank you. Questions for the witness? Senator McCreary.
So I'm glad you brought up the lab, because I think one of the challenges with healthcare is often the ability to have something done at the same time is just so critical. I think about, I'm on the board of a community health center. I feel like if the doctor needs some lab work done, if we don't get it quickly, we might not ever be able to reconnect with that patient, and it could be the matter between early diagnosis of something or something just being kicked down the road. So I'm just glad you brought that up, because I do think for a certain group of patients who are working 2-3 jobs, juggling a lot of things, the time is of the essence.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that 90% of healthcare decisions are based on lab results.
Right.
And so there shouldn't be a need to put a blockade into that testing, because that's how you get to the best healthcare decision, not insurance companies saying like, "Oh, we're not sure that you actually need that test."
Right.
And so this is a portion of the healthcare system that should not be slowed down. We need to get those answers quickly.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Next up in favor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. David Jackson, registered lobbyist for the Missouri Society of Anesthesiologists, the Missouri Ambulatory Surgery Center Association, Signature Medical Group, and Jefferson City Medical Group, and Reyes Radiology. I want to go on record in support and say, me too.
Questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you for your brief testimony. Next up in favor.
Madam Chairwoman, member of the committee, Kathy Harness here today on behalf of St. Luke's Health System, and we want to go on record in support of the bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, next up in favor.
Good afternoon, Katie Gamble here on behalf of the Missouri Dermatological Society Association and the Liberty Hospital up north of Kansas City. I want to go on record in support of the legislation and probably don't have anything else to add.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none. Next up in favor.
Hello, Madam Chairman, member of the committee. Nice to see you. Shannon Hawk here today on behalf of the Missouri Society of Eye Physicians and Surgeons. We hear a lot about access, and I will just tell you that this prior authorization is one very important piece of that access issue. And so I hope very much that this legislation will finally get passed this year. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none. Next up in favor.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Chance Hepla with Cox Health down in Southwest Missouri. Just want to go on record in full support of this bill.
Questions for the witness? Seeing none. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Next up in favor.
Madam Chair, Kara Hoover on behalf of SSM Health. Also just want to go on record in support of the bill.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none. Next up in favor.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairwoman, member of the committee, Olivia Wilson on behalf of the University of Missouri Healthcare System. I think it's an interesting detail to add that our hospital has a department of over 50 individuals who only deal with prior auth and denial requests. If we talk about the rising cost of healthcare, the need for those sort of large departments certainly contributes to that. With that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Questions for the witness? Seeing none. Next up in favor.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Will Mars on behalf of Mercy Health Systems as well as Universal Health Services, just want to go on record in support of the bill.
Any questions? Seeing none. Thank you. Next up in favor.
Madam Chair, member of the committee, Brian Bernskater here on behalf of the Missouri Academy of Family Physicians and strong support. Certainly welcome your all support as well.
Questions? Seeing none. Thank you. Next up in favor.
Garrett Webb, registered lobbyist for the Missouri chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics and Missouri Psychological Association. Just to add one other note, when we're talking about children's health care in particular, time is of the essence, and so this would greatly improve access to care for kids.
Thank you. Questions for this witness? Seeing none. Next up in favor.
Good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Alex Suttle, here on behalf of Golden Valley Memorial Hospital. I want to go on record in support of the bill.
Questions for this witness? Seeing none. Thank you. Next up in favor.
Madam Chair, member of the committee, Adam Rapert here on behalf of the Missouri Podiatric Medical Association. Just want to go on record in support.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none. Next up in favor.
Chair, member of the committee, Jessica Petrie here on behalf of BJC Healthcare, Rankin Jordan Pediatric Bridge Hospital, the Missouri Association of Rural Health Clinics, Reach Healthcare Foundation, and the National Association of Social Workers, Missouri chapter. We clearly really love this bill, so thank you for giving it the time.
Questions for this witness? Seeing none. Thank you. Next up in favor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Megan Howerton here on behalf of Mosaic Life Care. Just want to go on record in support of the bill.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none. Next up in favor. Just a quick raise of hands of how many more we have. Okay. We're about to the end.
Cameron Meany, representing University Health in Kansas City. Just want to go on record in favor of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for this witness? Seeing none. Next up in favor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chris Ropey here on behalf of Hannibal Regional Healthcare Systems. I want to go in support of the legislation. Our physicians, especially in rural healthcare systems, could be much more valuable spending time with patients than dealing with payers.
Questions for this witness? Seeing none. Thank you for your testimony. One final call. Anyone else here in favor? Seeing none, we've already checked on against anyone here for informational purposes only. Seeing none, Representative, any final comments? Seeing none, this will conclude the hearing on House Bill 618. Thank you for your patience and for being expedient. This will conclude the hearing. And I make a motion we adjourn. Do I have a second? Maybe. All in favor? Aye. And we're adjourned.